Welcome to the Wildlife Wire. I'm Mark Searles,
And I'm Samantha Miller.
and this is your source for wildlife news and the people that make it. Well, Sam, I'm excited about our guest today. She has studied an interesting relationship that we both really admire in nature, and we will get back into what that is shortly. But joining us is Emma Balunek, a recent graduate from the Master of Applied Science program at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. And Emma's work is a combination of conservation research and visual storytelling in collaboration with Michael Forsberg and the Platte Basin Timelapse project, along with Dr. John Benson's lab. Emma has been studying the cooperative hunting relationships between coyotes and badgers and the prairie dog colonies across the western grasslands. So welcome, Emma.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, well, we are excited to have you. And I know that you've spent the bulk of your research career within the shortgrass prairies, but that's not where you grew up, is it?
No, I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. So from the deciduous forest, lots of trees, green, more green than the shortgrass prairie.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm also one of those transplants from more of the east side of the U.S. and found the grasslands to be quite magnificent. And so your parents, they have a farm in Pennsylvania, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us a little bit about what's happened on that farm before we dive into the badgers and the coyotes?
Yeah, sure. So, yeah, I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, and a suburb called Chagrin Falls, Ohio. And when I was 1, my parents bought this old dairy farm about an hour away in western Pennsylvania that we call the farm. So it used to just be fields and pastures, and they had all the cows, and my parents bought it with the intention of converting it back into like for nature. So they put a conservation easement on it, did a bunch of restoration work, created wetlands in the front and the back, and have restored prairie grass fields. And then we have a bunch of woods and we have vernal pools. And so basically my whole entire life, I've been able to see that transformation from agriculture just back to the animals, which has been really, really cool to see. And so I would help plant trees and monitor the bluebird boxes and just go catch fish and newts and just play outside and explore. So that's what I pretty much did every weekend as a kid.
So you really had no choice but to get into some sort of uh, biological or archaeological work, and that was going to be your destiny, whether you liked it or not.
Pretty much, yeah. No, I didn't even like when I applied to colleges, I didn't even consider anything else.
I love it.
Yeah, the newts will get you there. I remember growing up and looking for newts out in rivers. And I think the amphibians are an accessible creature, much like the creature that you have come to study, which is, again, my favorite animal relationship. I don't know about you, Mark, but this is my top animal relationship, the adorable coyote and badger. And as Mark tells it, what we love about coyotes is that it's a carnivore that you can see no matter where you are in this country. There's coyotes. So if you're in Portland in the middle of the city, there's coyotes there. If you're up in Grand Lake in the middle of nowhere, there's coyotes up here. And they have all sorts of fascinating ways of adapting and interacting with the landscapes. And I'm wondering what inspired you to start pursuing research on coyotes and badgers. How did you make that shift from the East Coast to looking at short grass prairie systems and coyotes and badgers?
Yeah. Yeah, well, it mostly started with the prairie dogs. That's kind of what really got me interested in the shortgrass prairie. So when I came out west, I was really intrigued by the mountains, and I spent almost every weekend in the mountains, and that's kind of where all my adventures took place. But when I moved to this different apartment in Fort Collins, there were prairie dogs all around my apartment, and I would be walking my dog, and my dog would stick her head into all the prairie dog holes, and I just started kind of paying a little bit more attention to what these things were, and they were just so cute, and so I just started looking into that, and I attended this meeting and learned about the different threats that prairie dogs face and how development is kicking them out of their homes and just loss of habitat and all that. And so that's kind of really what got me interested in in the prairie. So then that led me to this rock pile. Um so this rock pile is about 45 minutes northeast of Fort Collins in the shortgrass prairie on top of this tall hill surrounded by a prairie dog colony. And I was out there photographing prairie dogs, and that's when I found this rock pile hill and found golden eagle pellets scattered all around it. So then my friend and I were really intrigued. We're like, we didn't even know golden eagles produce pellets. So we set up a trail camera and then just captured this incredible diversity, just super unexpected, like golden eagles, bald eagles, coyotes, badgers. And then so that rock pile is where I captured a video of a coyote and badger team. So that's what got me interested in the two.
You are a woman after my own heart by sticking your head into prairie dog burrows and also uncovering a rock pile. And I kept waiting to see, like, is this a specific rock pile? Maybe this is the name of a mountain. No, it was just a rock pile that brought you in. Uh, you mentioned prairie dogs, though, and we're undergoing our Colorado State Wildlife Action Plan here, and prairie dogs are on there as a species we need to consider more. They're
Yeah.
so cool, but they're often overlooked and
Mhm.
misunderstood. Why is the species so important to grasslands?
Well, prairie dogs are a keystone species, so the habitat that they create through their clipping down clipping down the vegetation and digging up the soil, they create these basically coral reefs in a sea of grass. And like in the ocean, the coral reef, that's where all the animals are. So through their role as creating homes underground, prey, to over 160 different species. You just get all of them in this one place, and you wouldn't have that level of diversity if you didn't have the prairie dogs.
And isn't every prairie dog colony different? Don't they have different languages that they speak to each other and really unique family dynamics where they're kind of like meerkats of our Serengeti?
Yes. Yeah, no, definitely. They have one of the most complex communication systems, or like languages out of all the animals. So they have different calls for different predators, and there was this study conducted on, I think it was the Gunnison's prairie dog, but um they had different calls for if like a tall man in a blue shirt walked through the colony versus like a short woman in a green shirt. Um, so they're just fascinating that they have all these different calls, and they're just these tiny little overlooked animals that a lot of people dislike. So
Yeah, I've heard they even have they can have words for guy with gun versus just a guy, which is certainly a important piece to know if you're a prairie dog, because unfortunately they do receive a lot of persecution. I've read all kinds of things like, oh, prairie dogs are a great way to sharpen your skills, on in the off season to make sure you're getting on site, and it's really
Those
disappointing.
that's
those are
so
Uh,
things you're reading on state wildlife websites too, Mark. That's the absurd thing. Those are what wildlife agencies are saying to people.
yeah, yeah, it's a great intro into hunting or staying sharp in the off season. So it really, really sad. And back to your rock pile,
Mhm.
we will have a link in our show notes to your Instagram page. But I have watched some of the videos from that rock pile, and it is so cool how just literally a pile of rocks uh, gets such a variety of animals there. And so we have a lot of similarities in as far as like what we love. And I also fell in love, came to Colorado for the mountains, but the prairies is where I really like to spend my time, uh, whether it's photography or just enjoying the diverse ecosystems out there. Uh, Once you moved from Fort Collins, you linked up with Michael Forsberg, correct?
Right.
And for those who don't know who Michael Forsberg is and some of the really amazing projects that he's done, can you shed some light on that?
Oh, sure. Well, I think he's one of the best conservation photographers out there, and over his career, he's really um all his projects have pretty much focused in the Great Plains. So, I think one of his first books was on wildlife of the Great Plains. He has a book on sandhill cranes, and now his most recent project is on the whooping crane. So that's what he's worked on for the last 5 years, just following those birds along their migratory route from Texas up to Wood Buffalo National Park in northern Canada. Um, so yeah, he's just incredible storyteller, photographer of anything Great Plains. And and then he also about 12, 13 years ago started this group called the Platte Basin Timelapse. And that's a group of storytellers working to tell the story of where our water comes from in the Platte Basin watershed, which starts in the Rocky Mountains of where you guys are in Colorado, Denver, Fort Collins, and then follows the Platte River all the way through Nebraska. And so using photos and videos to tell stories of what water has to go through to get to us, and people doing great conservation work in this watershed, plants, animals, that sort of stuff.
And so this has been a multi-year project, correct? And so how did you get involved with that? And are there multiple people involved? Like, how is that all playing out?
Yeah, yeah, there's a group of about 5 or so producers that are full-time with Platte Basin Timelapse. And so I met Mike in 2017 or so at this photography workshop in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and he had a couple of current master's students who did the same program as I just finished, the Masters of Applied Science program, and their focus was on storytelling. And so I connected with him there, talked to some of the then students, now producers with Platte Basin Timelapse, and so I kind of stayed in touch over the years. And then when I found this coyote badger, when I captured that coyote badger video, in the back of my mind, I had wanted to get my master's done, but didn't exactly know what I wanted it to be on. I wanted it to be something that I was really interested in because I was really tired of school. And so I reached out and was like, would this fit into your program? I'm kind of interested in doing a combination of storytelling and photo, but also research since we don't know too much about this, you know, unique relationship.
And so he was like, "Yep, let's do this."
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
That's awesome.
And then he brought in John Benson, who does wildlife research at UNL. And then that was the group.
Awesome. I know Sam has a question coming up, but I just want to point out two things from that. Is like one, yes, if you are tired of education or your job or whatever it is, when you find the passion, then that can reignite all kind of ventures. And then the second is like Michael Forsberg is a big deal, and reach out to those folks and see what happens, you know? And so I'm so happy that you both found that passion with the coyote and the badger, and then that you took that opportunity to reach out to him and see if you could incorporate it into his project.
Yeah, yeah, it was really cool. It's been great.
Yeah, Mark believes in dreaming big and reaching out to everyone. Obama, we're still waiting for you to come on the podcast.
Any
Mark
minute.
reached out to you a couple months ago. No, I'm just really excited about your research, and I'd love to learn more about it. Can you talk a bit about the hunting relationship between coyotes and badgers,
Yeah,
and why is it so fascinating to people like me and others?
right. Yeah, well, so the two will work together using their complementary hunting skill sets. So the American badger is a really good digger. They'll dig up prey underground, like ground squirrels or prairie dogs or kangaroo rats, whatever. And the coyote is excellent at hunting above ground, stalking, pouncing, that sort of thing. So when the two species come together, especially in colonies of burrowing mammals like prairie dogs or ground squirrels, the badger can go underground and capture prey. And if the badger misses and the prey pops above ground, then the coyote is there waiting and can capture the prey, and vice versa. If the animal that the coyote is chasing goes underground, then the badger has a chance to capture it. And so when they work together, the odds of somebody capturing something is higher versus when they're alone.
They're so adorable. I love watching a little squatty badger get into a burrow and make things happen.
They're
Can you tell
both
me one of your favorite
yeah.
stories about watching these two animals interact?
I love badgers. I just love the way that they move. Like, they're just a little shag carpet waddling across the landscape. Like, they just make me smile and laugh just, like, thinking of them right now. They're just I don't know, they're just mustelids are just such incredible animals that I didn't really know a lot about them growing up, so I'm just, like, really intrigued by that whole family. So anytime I see a badger running, I love that.
It's so
I
good.
love their little waddles.
And that description of a waddling shag carpet is the best description I've heard of a badger.
Mark, I was thinking they're like the corgis of the mustelids, like
They
very low
are.
to the ground, maybe a little cranky. They're so cute though.
Oh, and then the coyotes are just so elegant and beautiful and and then so the two of them together, it's just the perfect pair.
It really is. And I'm so happy that you explained. I've watched this relationship a number of times, and it is always the thing that I want to see when I'm on the prairie. And I always was like, okay, I understand Coyote seems to be winning here. Like, what's in it for the badger? But I now it makes sense that if the prairie dog or ground squirrel goes into the burrow, badger can be there, and so it does certainly help. It is a two-way street, and coyote isn't just freeloading off of the badger's hard work.
Mhm. Yeah,
Do
exactly.
we know much about when this started and like how they know that they're okay to hang out and help each other?
That's the question. I really wanna go inside their minds and just, like, yeah, understand their dynamic and how they communicate with each other and how they know that they're okay, working together, but this relationship has been documented for hundreds and hundreds of years. There's this clay pot that was, yeah, it was found, like or it was this artifact found in northern Mexico in the Casas Grandes, Chihuahua region, and it's about 700, 800 years old, and on one side of this pot is the head of a badger, and on the other side of the pot is the head of a coyote. So, I mean, even back then, that indicates that there was some sort of relationship between these two. And there's many indigenous stories about the two working together. And then dating back to like 1884, there's a bunch of natural history observation papers out there too of white settlers and scientists and naturalists viewing this relationship. So it's something that has been around for a very long time. Um, so I mean, I think something that probably helps it is the common prey source and the prairie dogs, attracting so many different predators that, I mean, probably over time they learned that. I mean, usually you'll see coyotes and badgers pretty often together in the same prairie dog colony. So they probably just over time learns that, oh, this isn't so bad, and I'll get more food out of this relationship. And also as a carnivore, um, you don't really wanna get into fights with other carnivores, you don't wanna be injured because then if you're injured, you're not gonna be successful, so it doesn't make much sense in that realm for them to fight and risk that injury, which, then they won't be able to feed themselves, so.
Yeah, it's just remarkable because I would imagine that there was some distant circling, and you know both have shark teeth, sharp claws,
Right.
and it was certainly something that took some boldness, I would think, and confidence, and also understanding why that they would even want to be together,
Mhm.
to be able to make it work. And it's really interesting too that so we have this relationship in North America with the American badger and coyote, but then when you move to Africa, we also have the honey badger and the honey guide,
Mhm.
which is a bird that will say, "Hey, Mr. Honey Badger, Mrs. Honey Badger, I need you to come, get this beehive, and we'll share in the spoils together." So there must be something in that tough exterior of a badger that inside they are quite cooperative, no matter what continent they fall on. Sam, go ahead.
I would love to know, what scientific questions were you most interested in exploring in this relationship and in short grass prairies?
Yeah, right. Um, so there's really only 2, scientific papers that have been published related to coyote badger associations, so we're still kind of at a very fundamental understanding of this relationship, so that's kind of what we did. So, um, we were looking at we were looking at the environmental conditions that influenced, where and when coyotes were together in, prairie dog, colonies. So we had 4 predictions. So spatially, we were looking at where are we seeing them on the landscape? Are they inside of prairie dog colonies? And then also, are we seeing them far away from human disturbance? And then temporally, we wanted to know what time of day they were active together and if there was a seasonality to this relationship. So are they together more in the fall and the winter and avoiding each other in the summer and the spring, which would make biological sense because that's when each are raising their young. And although it's uncommon, the other species could prey on the young of the other species, so you don't wanna have that risk in the relationship. So yeah, the question I was most interested in were those temporal questions of the seasonality and the time of day and where are we seeing them? Because we used camera traps to collect all this data.
And what are you finding with that temporal research? What time of day, time of year are coyotes and badgers most likely to be best friends?
Yeah. So we had 5 sites across 4 states, so, South Dakota, Colorado, Wyoming, and New Mexico, all prairie dog colonies for our sites. And we're seeing that they're mostly together in the fall and the winter. Sometimes together, like, we did get some detections in the spring and the summer, but majority fall and winter. And then the daily activity was really interesting. So we looked at when were we seeing coyotes and badgers? When were they active by themselves? And then when were they active together? So badgers were pretty much only active at night and at dawn and dusk when they were by themselves. Coyotes had a few peaks, but both individual activity differed from when they were together. So we saw them together pretty much during the day. Like, kind of like noon, 1 PM is when they were most active together, which was completely different, especially for the badger when we were seeing them active by themselves. So that could suggest that there is a benefit to the badger if they are changing the time of day that they're normally active to be with a coyote.
Yeah, I guess that does make sense in that I'm often out, photographing around prairie dog towns in the sunrise, and it takes them a little while, especially in the winter, to come out of their towns and see the sunlight, and so for it to be beneficial, I think it would require the prairie dogs or ground squirrels to be both out of the burrows and on the landscape, uh, so that they're both getting opportunities. Um,
Exactly. Mhm.
I will have to change my schedule now to make sure I get out to some prairie dog towns
You're
in
the
the
third wheel of the
afternoons.
trio now, Mark. You're just trying to hit it at the right time.
Yeah, yeah. But hey, guys, hey, it's me. Remember me?
They're like,
I was
Mark's
here in the
here.
morning.
We'll see how the temporal patterns change once you get involved, Mark. They're like, never mind. We're active in the afternoon now.
Yeah, well, that's fascinating. And so all of that information that you're obtaining, is that through camera traps? Is there in-person observation as well?
Um, so all of that was from the camera traps. So at each of the 5 sites, we have 10 cameras, and they're set up in a grid that covers about 10 square kilometers, which is about the average home range size of a coyote. So we're able to have cameras within prairie dog colonies and without. But then I also have this another component of my project is this citizen science effort, because I can't be in all the places that this relationship happens, so I created this, Google form to just get out and as far and wide as I can to collect observations from all over Western North America. And so that helps give us a better geographical understanding of where this relationship is happening, and can also kind of give us some insights into when people are seeing them too, and the seasons and the time of day, which typically humans are active during the day. So that's a little biased, but
Right.
it's been really interesting because I mean, they're in almost every state across the West and Canada and Mexico.
Yeah, I think that's really incredible. And with citizen science, it's so fun because then people are actually invested in the work that you're
Yeah.
doing. Have you found that to be the most effective bridge between science and engagement with the general public? Or what else are you doing? Is it photography that's maybe your best bridge? How are people best engaging with your work?
Yeah, I think I mean, people are really just interested in this relationship, so I think they are kind of interested, in the science, but I think, like, the clips and the little videos of coyotes and badgers are probably, where people are engaging the most, and then the rock pile. I feel like the rock pile is my main part of this whole project, and people are really intrigued by that, and, um, some people will be more interested in the human history about it, some people are more into the wildlife, but then I can also use the rock pile to talk about the coyotes and the badgers, so that's kinda like the centerpiece of this whole project.
Well, I think that makes you such a clever storyteller too, and that you can go with the history of coyote and badger. I thought the clay pot story was so fascinating. To the photography, to the science piece, and speak to all of it. Do you have a funny moment, either with humans or with animals in the field, that sticks with you to this day? That our guests, that our listeners think they're our guests, I guess, of our show. You're our main guest, though, Emma. That our listeners might want to hear.
Well, So I worked in southeastern Colorado for a whole summer, doing vegetation surveys with a group of 6 people, from the Colorado Natural Heritage Program. And so we were out there in 100 degrees sun all day in the open prairie and just doing plots. We would just do like a bunch of plots every single day and just identify all the plants and stuff. So when we saw animals, it was very exciting. And so my friend and I were setting up this rock plot that was kind of in this rocky outcrop area. And I went to the bathroom behind a rock and I hear Emily, she's like, Emma, there's something over here. So I like look over and there I thought it was a badger at first, but it turned out to be a porcupine that was like
Whoa.
waddling right towards our plot. And so I was like, oh my gosh. So I like finished peeing, pulled my pants up, and then we like went over and it was in the almost the middle of the day, so he was going into a little shaded rocky area. So we were able to get like, I mean, just a few feet from this porcupine, and he didn't even care. And that was the second time I've seen a porcupine with my pants down.
I was going to say, it sounds like it could be dangerous to be caught by a porcupine with your pants down.
Yeah, it's happened twice, and I don't know why. That's the animal that I see.
I see a scientific hypothesis in the future of what attracts porcupines into human established areas.
Right.
That is remarkable. I am so happy that happened to you, not once but twice.
No, I feel really lucky. It's I really love it. The other time was in Wyoming in the mountains, and I mean, this porcupine was within feet of me, and I was just squatting there, and I was like, "What do I do?"
Oh man, that is so good. I think we'll have to make a mashup with your pants down porcupine stories, and we had a previous guest on Max who was we spent a lot of time talking about poop that episode, so maybe we can
This is great.
we
Wow.
can make a mashup there. So
we have a classy podcast.
Right?
Go ahead.
Class. So I have one more question on the badger coyotes, and then we want to talk a little bit about like what you see for yourself in the future. When you talk with someone about, or like maybe you're given a talk and it's the topic's coyotes and badgers, how many times are people aware of that relationship, and how many times is it like, what, you're a who and a what?
I would say it's like less than 50% of people know about it. If you're in the wildlife conservation field, it goes up a little bit, but I wouldn't say it. I'm still surprised that like people who work in wildlife haven't all heard about it. So let's say 50 or less.
Yeah. I feel like it's just such a great opportunity to generate energy around conserving the very little bit of grasslands that we have remaining. And, it like to have these two charismatic characters on the landscape and then together is just like something that Hollywood producers are like, yes, let's do that together, right? I mean, it's just really neat, and I think it has a lot of appeal for folks that maybe don't even know much about prairies otherwise.
Right.
So I hope that you can get the word out more on them. We will certainly try our best. I always love talking about coyotes and badgers together. They're always in my presentations that I do for my day job at Project Coyote. Moving forward, is this something that is this, do you think it's going to continue being a focus of your work? Are you looking to get into other areas as well?
Yeah. Well, just to add on what you were saying about how it's a good avenue to bring attention to the prairie. What I also like about it is all these animals involved, the prairie dog, the American badger, and the coyote are all kind of overlooked animals. And then the habitat they're in is also this overlooked ecosystem. And so what I like is that it brings all these underdogs together, or all these kind of disliked animals and places together. And that's what I love about it. So then you create this interesting thing in this place that people normally just look over. And so it kind of, yeah, draws attention in that way. And that's what I love about it. But yeah, I mean, I would love to continue this work. I think there's still a lot of unanswered questions about this relationship, and I think our camera data is a really good, introduction, but you can still build on this. Like, now that I kind of know where more coyotes and badgers are, it'd be great to do more observational studies, or potentially collaring them and tracking them that way to help answer more questions, just so we can have a better understanding of this relationship. So, I mean, the limiting factor there is funding. So if anybody wants to fund it, like, I would love to do it. But yeah, I would also love to stay. I mean, there's also the photography side and the conservation storytelling side, and I really love that too. Anything with prairie dog research, I would like to do. So, I mean, there's a lot of different ways I could go with it. So we'll kind of just see what happens.
Yeah. Well, I am excited to see what happens too, because I think you have a really bright future in front of us, and that you're certainly hitting on a lot of topics that both Sam and I have a lot of passion for. So we couldn't be more thankful for you to come onto the podcast today, share this amazing relationship with us, and we wish you the best in your future ventures, and hopefully coyote and badger make an appearance in those. So thanks again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Emma.
Yeah.
This has been an episode of the Wildlife Wire with me, Mark Searles, and my co-host, Samantha Miller. Thank you for listening.